Bonjour, my delightfully curious companion. Your decision to click on this video has just made you my favorite person of the day, and subscribing would elevate you to favorite person of the week status. Shall we embark on this journey together? I've always placed my trust in numbers. To me, as an engineer, they aren't just symbols on a screen. They are the underlying fabric of reality. While language can twist the truth and emotions can cloud judgment, numbers present themselves in a raw, unchanging form, no matter how deeply someone might wish it otherwise. 2 added to 2 will always give 4. Sarah, my wife, used to find my fixation on data amusing. She had a pet name for me, her sweet little robot. She'd say it with a smirk while I sat buried in spreadsheets, tweaking our grocery expenses or mapping out the most efficient route for our Saturday errands. Then she'd lean in, kiss the side of my head, and give me that amused, gentle smile. The same one that made me fall for her nearly a decade ago. I wonder if she still sees that robot as lovable, now that those same spreadsheets have wrecked everything. It all began on a seemingly ordinary October Saturday. The kind of cool, amber-lit autumn morning that makes you pause and appreciate life in the Midwest. Chilly air, golden leaves drifting from trees, and the distant scent of someone's fireplace warming their home. Sarah had left early, saying she was off to help her mom clean out old boxes in the attic. "She's been after me for weeks about those old photo albums," she told me while sipping her morning coffee. "I'll probably be gone most of the day." I kissed her goodbye, told her to send my regards to Patricia, and began what was my usual weekend routine. First on the agenda, car upkeep. I keep detailed maintenance records for both our vehicles. Oil changes, tire rotations, brake replacements, air filter swaps, everything is logged meticulously with dates, mileage, cost, and projected service intervals. Not out of obsession, but out of reason. A well-maintained vehicle runs longer and avoids expensive problems. According to my records, Sarah's 2019 Honda Civic was due for a new cabin air filter. I grabbed my tools and stepped into the garage, breathing in that familiar mix of motor oil and cold concrete, a smell that always pulled me back to childhood Saturdays with my dad. He taught me how to care for a car, how maintenance was a form of respect for what you own. Swapping the cabin filter is a simple task, about 15 minutes if you know what you're doing. I opened the glove box, pulled out the old filter, and noted its condition like I always do. Then, habitually, I glanced at the odometer. 47,832 miles. Something didn't sit right. It was small, a subtle dissonance, like hearing a single wrong note in a familiar tune. I took out my phone and opened the maintenance app I use. The last filter replacement was logged on July 15, 2023. Mileage then, 43,156. I stood in the cool garage, filter in hand, doing quick calculations in my head. 47,832 minus 43,156. That's 4,676 miles, all in just over 3 months. From July 15th to October 21st, that's 98 days, which comes out to roughly 47.7 miles driven per day. That didn't add up. Sarah teaches 3rd grade at Westfield Elementary. When she got the job 4 years ago, I'd mapped her commute. Multiple routes, actually, factoring in traffic and road work. The best route came to 8.3 miles one way. A full round trip would be 16.6 miles. Even adding grocery runs, errands, or occasional lunches with coworkers, she rarely exceeded 25 miles in a day. So how had she accumulated nearly 48 miles daily? I finished installing the new filter, but my mind was already working through potential explanations. Could I have forgotten about weekend trips? Unlikely. We usually took my truck for those. More errands than usual? It was plausible, but that would require a lot of driving. Medical appointments, maybe? She would have told me about those. I went back to my home office and pulled up our financial records. I've digitized every receipt, every bill, every bank statement. It started back when I freelanced. Keeping detailed records was necessary for taxes, but over time, it evolved into a complete financial monitoring system. Every cent we spent was categorized and logged. As I combed through the credit card transactions, a pattern emerged that made my stomach twist. Fuel expenses had risen sharply, not in a way that would trigger fraud alerts, but enough to raise questions once viewed alongside mileage data. From July to October, fuel purchases were up 42% compared to the previous quarter, April through June. I opened a new spreadsheet and began compiling everything. my fingers moving across the keyboard with the ease of long-practiced routine. Column A, date. Column B, odometer readings, when available. Column C, projected mileage, based on routine travel. Column D, actual mileage logged. Column E, discrepancy. As I entered the numbers into the spreadsheet, a pattern gradually surfaced, clearer with each new line, like an old Polaroid slowly coming into focus. Mondays looked standard. Mileage aligned perfectly with our typical homeschool schedule. Aaron was home, as expected. Tuesdays consistently showed an extra 80 to 120 miles. Wednesdays settled back into normalcy. Thursdays? Again, an additional 80 to 120 miles. Fridays? Back to baseline. Every week, the same fluctuations. I sank into my ergonomically optimized Herman Miller chair, a purchase justified only after painstaking research and a detailed cost-efficiency breakdown, and stared at the screen. Something didn't add up. There had to be a rational explanation. Sarah had once mentioned that she stayed late to tutor students who were falling behind. The school district offered extra pay for those hours. That could be it. But where exactly was this tutoring taking place? I opened a map of the county and began calculating. Even the most remote school in the district was just 18 miles away. Round trip, that made 36 miles. That still left a 40 to 80 mile discrepancy on the high days. It didn't match. Could it be private tutoring? I broadened my search to include tutoring centers, library programs, even in-home options. The farthest feasible location was a center in Riverside, 22 miles from home, a 44-mile round trip, still insufficient. I paused. I needed more data. Drawing conclusions too soon was reckless. Engineers don't guess. We investigate. We test theories. We verify outcomes. Assumptions are the death of accuracy. That evening, Sarah returned home at 6, a cardboard box filled with old photographs in her arms, her voice light as she recounted her day. "You have to see these," she said. "My hair in high school. It's a miracle the ozone layer survived my Aquanet obsession." I laughed where I was supposed to, asked questions that made sense. But my brain was elsewhere, spinning through numbers and routes. Her mother's place was 6.2 miles away, round trip 12.4. Even if she'd spent the day there, the mileage still didn't compute. I checked the odometer in the morning. "You okay?" she asked, catching something in my face with those familiar green eyes that still had the power to disarm me. "You seem distracted." "Just wrestling with a work issue," I lied. The first lie I'd ever told in our 7-year marriage. It left a metallic aftertaste in my mouth like sucking on pennies. "Thompson's pushing to fast-track the Reynolds project," I added, "but the specs keep shifting." She nodded sympathetically, hands massaging my shoulders. "Want to talk it out?" "No, it's all right. Tell me more about those photos." She dove into stories about her teenage years, and I listened. Half of me did anyway. The rest of me was running simulations, drafting formulas, decoding trajectories. That night, as she slept beside me, one hand curled against my chest like always, I stared up at the ceiling, tried to find sense. Maybe she'd changed her commute route. Maybe there was a detour or roadwork I hadn't noticed. Maybe she was carpooling with someone from a different area. Maybe, but numbers don't accept speculation. Numbers demand proof. Chapter 2. The Pattern. Tuesday dawned gray, with a light drizzle tapping against the windows. At 7:15, Sarah gave me her usual kiss goodbye. "I'll be home late," she said, grabbing her travel mug, the usual 2 sugars and a dash of cream, just like every day for the past 7 years. "Tutoring after school," she added. "Which students?" I asked, feigning casual interest. "Oh, same as always. Tyler with his math, Emma's still working on reading." She smiled, checked herself in the mirror by the hallway, and walked out the door. I waited until the sound of her car faded. Then I grabbed my coat. It was time for a little test. I drove the route to Westfield Elementary, taking the streets I knew well. I arrived just as the morning rush was winding down. From the visitor lot, I spotted her Honda parked exactly where it usually was. So far, everything checked out. I continued on to work, tried to concentrate on the Reynolds assignment, but my focus kept slipping. Numbers and timelines blurred. I couldn't stop thinking about the gaps. At lunch, I picked up the phone. Westfield Elementary, this is Carol speaking. Hi, Carol, this is Richard Vaughn, Sarah Vaughn's husband. I softened my tone, adopting an upbeat rhythm. I'm planning a birthday surprise for her next month, and I'm trying to get a sense of her tutoring schedule so I don't accidentally conflict with it. Would you mind letting me know which days she typically stays late? How sweet of you. Let me take a look. I heard the soft tapping of keys in the background. Well, I'm not seeing any tutoring sessions listed under Mrs. Vaughn. She does supervise the drama club on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays until 4, but there's nothing here about tutoring. A wave of dread passed through me. No tutoring listed? Could it be something unofficial? Just a favor outside the system? All tutoring must be scheduled through the office for liability purposes, even if it's voluntary. Are you positive she mentioned tutoring? I must have gotten it wrong. Thanks, Carol. And please don't tell her I reached out. I'd hate to ruin the surprise. Absolutely. Your secret's safe with me. I ended the call and stared blankly at my half-eaten sandwich. Drama club, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Those were the days she was home right on time. The days when her car's mileage made sense, which left Tuesdays and Thursdays hanging in the air. What were they really? That evening, Sarah walked through the door at 6:47. Sorry, love. Tutoring ran late and then traffic was a mess. I looked up from my laptop, where I had been tightening up my spreadsheet on her car's mileage. No worries. How's Tyler holding up with the fractions? Oh, you know. Denominators are still giving him grief. But we're making headway. She took off her coat and slipped off her shoes. What's for dinner? I got us Thai. Should be here in about 20. Perfect. I'm going to go change. As she climbed the stairs, I slipped into the garage and checked her odometer. 48,089 miles. That morning, it had been 47,991. She'd driven 98 miles that day. To give it context, a round trip to the state capital was just 76. Thursday's number showed a similar spike. By Friday, the data I'd gathered filled me with unease. But suspicion wasn't enough. I needed proof. Unshakable, undeniable proof. So I became an investigator in my own home. I started with her gas receipts. Every Tuesday and Thursday, instead of refueling at the Shell near Westfield Elementary or the Chevron down the street, Sarah was buying gas in Martinsville, Riverside, or Canton, places 40 to 50 miles out. Why would someone go that far just to pump gas, especially when prices there were higher than in our own neighborhood? Unless she was already there for another reason. I added another tab to my spreadsheet. Fuel purchase analysis. Date, gas station location, gallons, price per gallon, miles from our house, miles from her school. A pattern emerged, crystal clear. Every Tuesday and Thursday, like clockwork, fuel bought far from home. Next, I combed through our financial records. Sarah had her own checking account. We kept our individual accounts along with a shared one for the house. Normally, I didn't scrutinize her personal spending, out of respect. But this wasn't normal. Her ATM activity raised a flag immediately. Every Tuesday and Thursday, she pulled out $60, always from ATMs in those same distant towns, Martinsville, Riverside, Canton. Each time, $60 in cash. What costs $60 and demands cash specifically? My brain served up an answer before I could stop it. Budget motels, hourly rates, places that don't ask for names, places that prefer not to take cards. I tried to dismiss it. This was Sarah, my Sarah, the woman who had cried through her vows at our wedding, who used to sneak corny engineering jokes into my lunch on sticky notes, who still squeezed my hand during horror movies. But the numbers didn't care. Numbers don't get emotional over lunch notes or hand-holding or wedding day tears. Chapter 3. Tracking the Signs. November came in strangely warm, a lingering Indian summer carrying into the early days of the month. Sarah had been in noticeably higher spirits, singing softly while she stirred pots on the stove, picking out stylish outfits, getting her nails done every week. "I'm just in a good mood," she replied when I asked about the new skirt she was wearing. "Is it such a crime to want to feel pretty?" "Not at all. You look amazing." She smiled brightly, kissed me on the cheek, and I tried not to dwell on the possibility that someone else might be admiring her fresh look, too. On Thursday, November 9th, I reached a quiet but firm conclusion. I called in sick to work, something I hardly ever did, which caused my supervisor to ask if I was on my deathbed. "Just a little stomach thing," I told him. I'll stay online in case anything urgent pops up. At 2:45 p.m., I parked in a McDonald's lot, 3 blocks from Westfield Elementary. From that vantage point, I could watch the school's main exit without drawing attention. At exactly 3:17 p.m., I spotted Sarah's silver Honda pulling out. But instead of turning left toward home, she turned right. My pulse jumped. I eased into traffic behind her, careful to keep 2 or 3 cars between us, far enough not to be noticed. She wound her way through side streets before merging onto Highway 50, heading east. Her route was direct, practiced, like one she knew well. After driving 43 miles, she exited at Martinsville. My palms were damp as I gripped the wheel, heart thudding. She navigated downtown like a local, past the courthouse, the library, then into a Comfort Suites parking lot. A standard middle-tier hotel. Nothing flashy, nothing suspicious, at first glance. I pulled into a nearby strip mall across the street and angled my car so I could observe both the hotel entrance and her vehicle. Hands trembling, I raised my phone and started filming. Inside her car, she paused to check her makeup in the visor mirror. She applied a coat of lipstick, the same deep red I'd complimented weeks ago. Then she stepped out, smoothed the fabric of her dress, and entered the building without hesitation. No bag in hand, no stop at the reception desk. She strode straight to the elevator, confident, like someone who knew the floor, the room, the routine. I stayed there for 3 hours and 7 minutes, staring at that entrance, my lukewarm coffee untouched, my thoughts unraveling. Every person going in or out became a character in a story I told myself. Sales reps, tourists, visiting relatives, any scenario but the one I knew was happening above me. At 6:22 p.m., she came back out, alone. Her expression was calm, even uplifted. There was a lightness in her step that made my stomach twist. She got into her car and drove off. I followed, already aware of her destination, home. Back to the house we shared, back to me. I took a different route, driving faster than I should have, and reached the house a quarter of an hour before she did. When she walked in at 7:14 p.m., I was at the computer, pretending to review spreadsheets for the Thompson project. "Hey, babe," she called from the doorway. "Sorry I'm late." Tutoring ran long, and then traffic was awful. The lie came out smooth as silk, effortless. No pause, no guilt, no sign she was hiding anything. How many times had I heard those words and accepted them as truth? "No worries," I replied, my voice calm and even. "How are the kids today?" "Oh, you know," she said breezily. "Tyler's still stuck on fractions, poor guy." But I think today might have been a breakthrough. He finally grasped that the denominator means how many total parts there are. Tyler. Was that a made-up name? Had she assigned identities to her imaginary students? That bit about denominators was clever, detailed enough to seem real, but vague enough to escape checking. "That's good," I said. "There's leftover Chinese if you're hungry." "Perfect," she answered. "I'm starving." I listened as she moved around in the kitchen, opening the fridge, clinking dishes, pouring wine. All the ordinary sounds of what appeared to be a normal evening in a life that no longer felt remotely normal. Later in bed, I lay frozen beside her, barely breathing. Touching her even slightly felt impossible. I was afraid I'd cry or scream or both. She drifted off easily, one hand resting on my chest as always, her breaths slow and steady. How could she fall asleep like that? How could she lie beside me, the faint scent of hotel soap and unfamiliar cologne clinging to her skin? And sleep? I lay flat on my back, staring at the ceiling, working through the math. Roughly 3 hours spent at the hotel. Subtract time for walking through the building. Figure in maybe 5 minutes each way, unless she stopped at the front desk, which seemed unlikely. That left about 170 minutes alone in a room with someone. Someone important enough to drive 43 miles for. Important enough to jeopardize our marriage, to lie, to cheat, to become a version of herself I no longer recognized. Who was this man? Chapter 4, Assembling the Evidence. By Friday morning, I'd scheduled a meeting with an attorney. Kenneth Ashford came highly recommended from a coworker who'd barely survived a messy separation. "He's calculated," Jim had said. "Treats divorce like a systems analysis. You'll appreciate his mindset." Ashford's office looked like a textbook legal firm. Rich wood paneling, leather-bound chairs, and framed degrees lining the walls. He let me speak without interruption, jotting the occasional note on a yellow legal pad. "Your case is persuasive, but it's all circumstantial," he said when I finished. "The travel logs, the cash withdrawals, the hotel visits, they build a narrative. But if you're aiming to safeguard your finances in court, you'll need irrefutable proof." "What kind of proof are we talking about?" I asked. "Pictures, video, a confession. Anything that strips away all ambiguity." He leaned back, interlacing his fingers. "You're an engineer, right? Think of it like proving a theorem. Right now, what you've got is correlation. What we need is causation. So what's your recommendation? Start documenting everything. If it's safe, shadow her again. Capture photographs. Install a GPS tracker. It's legal if the car is in your name. Think of every piece of data as a structural support. The more supports, the more unshakable the case." I left his office with a signed retainer and a churn in my stomach. This wasn't theoretical anymore. I was preparing to legally dismantle my marriage, to gather evidence against Sarah. That weekend, I played the role of the devoted husband. We browsed the farmer's market together Saturday morning, had lunch with her sister on Sunday. I smiled, told jokes, kissed her hand, all while analyzing her every move like a forensic investigator. She paid for lunch in cash. Where did that come from? Not from our shared bank account. No ATM withdrawals I could trace. Was it hidden somewhere? Or was he giving her money? She checked her phone constantly, grinning at incoming messages. "Just Emma's mom," she told me once when she caught me watching, thanking me for helping her daughter with reading. But she turned her screen away as she typed back, "Thanks." On Monday morning, while she showered, I ordered a GPS tracker. By Tuesday afternoon, during one of her supposed tutoring sessions, I crawled under her car and attached it. My hands trembled, but I made myself focus. Placement, security signal verification. Later that evening, when she noticed me in the garage, I called out casually, "Just rotating your tires, babe." She kissed me on the cheek. "You're always taking care of everything," she said. "You're so good to me." Did she feel anything? Any guilt? Any flicker of shame? Or had the lies become so embedded that they didn't even register anymore? The tracker gave me what I feared, clear, cold evidence. Every Tuesday and Thursday, the pattern held. She spent between 2 and 3 hours at various hotels, mostly the Comfort Suites in Martinsville, sometimes the Riverside Inn, occasionally the Holiday Express over in Canton. Each time the routine was identical. She left the school at exactly 3:15 p.m. I drove straight to the hotel without making any stops. Stayed there until somewhere between 6:15 and 6:30, then headed back home like nothing happened. Covered it up with a lie about tutoring. But even then, I still didn't know who it was. That single unanswered question churned in my gut like poison. Who could possibly justify all these lies? Who was worth driving nearly 3,700 miles in secret? December came with a strange warmth in the air, and with it Sarah seemed more upbeat than ever. She picked up new lingerie. "Just a little holiday treat for myself," she'd said. Got fresh highlights in her hair. New Year's almost here, wanted a change. Started hitting the gym more consistently. Just feeling really inspired lately. Each change chipped away at me. Each purchase, each glow in her expression when she looked at her phone, another cut. Was all of this for him? Was he the spark behind her transformation? The breaking point arrived on December 20th, during the school's annual holiday gathering. Spouses were welcome that year, so I joined in, mingling with other husbands and wives, chatting about winter travel plans and Christmas shopping. That's when Principal Martinez approached me, all smiles. "Richard, how's the world of engineering treating you these days?" "Can't complain. It's the busy season, end-of-year crunch," I replied. "And how's everything at school?" "Oh, the usual December madness. Glitter everywhere," she laughed. Then added warmly, "Tell Sarah she's been a godsend with the drama club." The kids adore her, and the stage designs for the spring play are already phenomenal. I kept my expression pleasant. Drama club. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday after school. She never took a dime, volunteered all her time. Said it was rewarding enough to create with the students. "You must be so proud," Martinez said. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Those were the days Sarah came home straight after work. The mileage always matched. "I am," I told her. "She's amazing with the kids." But that only meant one thing. Tuesday and Thursday were blank pages. No tutoring sessions. No school-related excuses. Just miles on the car. Just lies. Just unaccounted hotel check-ins. That evening, while watching Sarah laugh with her coworkers, something inside me clicked. I'd wait until after Christmas. Give us one more holiday, one more illusion of normalcy. A final Christmas morning with coffee, gifts, and a smile that didn't mean anything anymore. But first, I needed a name. Chapter 5. The Identity. Thursday, December 22nd. I had the whole week off, told Sarah it was unused vacation time. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek, said it'd be nice having me around more. But she still left that morning for tutoring. This time I was ready. Rented a different vehicle. No way she could spot my usual truck. Packed a camera with a long lens, the kind birdwatchers use. Filled the tank, brought water and snacks. I'd stay as long as I had to. As expected, she went to Martinsville. Same comfort suites as always. I parked in a spot that gave me clear sight of both the lot and the entrance. Then I waited. At exactly 4:47 p.m., my heart froze. A dark blue Ford Explorer pulled in. Illinois plates beginning with RK4. I recognized it instantly. I'd jump-started that car back in July. Battery died during the neighborhood cookout. It was Tom Morrison's car. Tom, the accountant. Tom, husband of Lisa Morrison, Sarah's old college roommate and her best friend since freshman year. Tom, who never stopped talking about his lousy golf game at every get-together. Tom, who'd moved to Martinsville when Lisa's mother had a stroke and needed care. I watched him exit the car with confidence. Walk straight into the hotel without pause, like he'd done it 100 times. He didn't check signs, didn't hesitate. He knew exactly where he was going. Hands trembling, I lifted the camera. Peering through the telephoto lens, every movement came into sharp, damning focus. All I needed to do now was wait. At exactly 6 p.m., they appeared, together. Their conversation was animated, easy, natural. He placed his hand on the small of her back as they walked, a gesture filled with ownership and familiarity. She nudged his shoulder lightly, teasingly, just like she used to do with me when we were still a couple. They paused by her car and he pulled her in. The kiss that followed wasn't frenzied or fueled by longing. No, it was far worse. It was casual, comfortable, the kind of kiss that belonged to two people who had long since crossed into habit. A kiss that said, "We've been doing this for a while." Click, click, click. Each moment was frozen in time through the camera's eye. The kiss, his hand winding into her hair, her palm resting on his chest. The familiar curve of her smile when their lips parted. The same smile she once reserved only for me. They lingered, talking. Another 10 minutes. More casual touches. Another kiss. She laughed at something he said, tossing her head back in delight. He gently ran his finger along the length of her arm. Every interaction screamed closeness, history, bond. Eventually, they split off. Separate cars, opposite directions. Both headed home to partners who trusted them completely. Partners who saw them as family. I stayed in that empty lot, gripping the steering wheel, waiting for the tremble in my hand to ease enough to drive. Then I called Kenneth. "I know who it is," I said flatly, skipping any small talk. "Tom Morrison," I added, "her best friend's husband. 15 years of friendship, family vacations, joint holidays. His kids called her Aunt Sarah." Kenneth let out a low whistle. "That's brutal," he said. "Start collecting everything. This strengthens your case in a big way. Judges really don't like affairs that shatter more than one family." I drove home in a fog. Tom Morrison. It explained everything in the most devastating way. Lisa's mother's stroke had been the perfect cover. Tom worked remotely. He could stop by during the day to check in. Martinsville was just far enough for privacy and just close enough for frequent visits. How long had it been happening? How many backyard cookouts had we enjoyed while they whispered in secret? How many warm hugs between Lisa and Sarah while Sarah was betraying her behind closed doors? Chapter 6. The Illusion. Christmas arrived cloaked in deceit and glowing decorations. I wore the mask of the cheerful husband without a single crack. We hosted Sarah's family on Christmas Eve. I carved the turkey, poured the wine, told light-hearted stories about work blunders. "You two are just perfect together," her mother said, watching us glide through the kitchen like a synchronized pair. 7 years and still acting like newlyweds. Sarah smiled brightly and kissed me on the cheek. "I really lucked out with this one," she said. I returned the smile and played along. I didn't tell her mother that Sarah had been getting lucky with Tom Morrison every Tuesday and Thursday for the past 6 months. Christmas morning nearly broke me. We opened our presents beneath the tree. I'd bought her a necklace long ago before I uncovered the truth. She gifted me a smartwatch to help track all those workouts you keep saying you're going to start. We were intimate that morning because a refusal would have aroused suspicion. I shut my eyes and tried not to picture where she'd been 48 hours earlier. What she'd been up to, who she'd chosen to be with. She looked like she enjoyed it, like she was truly there, like the woman I had once married. How deeply could someone separate their life to switch lovers without a flicker? The rest of December disappeared in a haze. Holiday gatherings, festive obligations, forced cheer. New Year's Eve found us at the Morrisons' place. The irony choked me, ringing in the new year under the roof of the man my wife was sleeping with. Tom stayed out of my path, constantly excusing himself to be elsewhere. Lisa, on the other hand, was all warmth and chatter, hugging Sarah, buzzing about plans for a girls' retreat in February. "We need a break," Lisa said, already a few glasses in. "Just us girls." Like the good old days. Sarah lit up, nodding eagerly. I couldn't help but wonder, did she feel anything? A flicker of shame? Making travel plans with the wife of the man she was betraying me with? But she looked so at ease. Her smile never faltered. Her laughter was effortless. When the clock struck midnight, we all turned to our partners. Tom gave Lisa a dutiful peck. Sarah kissed me like she meant it. And then came the hugs. That's when I saw it. Barely a second, but it was enough. Tom's hand lingered just a heartbeat too long on Sarah's back. Her fingers rested on his shoulder with quiet intention. If I hadn't been watching, if I hadn't already known, I would have missed it. "Happy New Year, buddy," Tom said, gripping my hand. The same hand, I imagined, that had been all over my wife 2 nights earlier. "Yeah," I answered. "I've got a feeling this year's going to be different." Something in my voice must have hit him. The corners of his smile twitched. But then someone called for more drinks and the moment slipped away. January came with snow and empty promises. Sarah resolved to invest more in our relationship. More time, more attention, she said. The irony was so thick it almost felt poetic. I kept collecting the truth. The GPS tracker painted a detailed portrait of their betrayal. January 3rd, Tuesday, Comfort Suites, 2 hours, 47 minutes. January 5th, Thursday, Riverside Inn, 3 hours, 12 minutes. Kenneth went over everything again and again. "This is one of the most thorough cases I've handled," he said. "Your evidence is bulletproof. When you're ready, we move forward." But I wasn't after a simple divorce. I wanted them exposed. I wanted the world to see them for who they truly were. Chapter 7. The Confrontation. January 15th, also a Tuesday. I picked the date deliberately, far enough from the holidays that it wouldn't be tangled in sentiment, but not so far off that I might lose my nerve. 5 months of compiling, thousands of miles logged, hundreds of images, a GPS trail that told the story better than words could. That morning I made breakfast. Her favorite, eggs over easy, wheat toast, fresh berries. Good coffee. I set the table with care, even added cloth napkins. She came down ready for work, surprised at the sight. "What's all this?" she asked. "Did I forget something important?" "Nope," I said. "Just wanted to do something nice." "Sit down, eat while it's hot." She smiled and took a seat, reaching for the coffee. That's when I opened the laptop. The spreadsheet was already open, waiting. "There's something I need to show you," I said. "Okay," she answered, raising the mug to her lips. Her expression was curious, relaxed. I turned the screen toward her. "We need to talk about your driving records." The shift was instant. Her body stiffened. The mug stopped midair. "My driving records?" she repeated. "Yes, Sarah. Over the past 5 months, you've racked up an additional 3,680 miles on the car. That breaks down to around 200 miles each week that can't be explained by your usual schedule. I want to know where you've been going." She placed her coffee mug down with deliberate slowness, as if trying to buy time. "I don't get what you're implying." "It's basic arithmetic, Sarah." I switched to the first spreadsheet tab. "Your daily commute to Westfield Elementary is 8.3 miles one way. That's 16.6 miles round trip. Multiply that by 5 days a week over 20 weeks since July. That's a little over 1,600 miles. Even if I round up for groceries, trips to see your mother, let's say 500 miles extra, you're still short by over 1,500 miles. This is ridiculous. You've been monitoring how much I drive? I've always been the one who tracks maintenance for our cars. The mileage logs are just there. I clicked to another tab. But here's the strange part, the pattern. Take a look. Mileage on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays is totally normal. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there's a consistent spike, an extra 80 to 120 miles every single week. And that's been going on for 5 straight months. Her hands were visibly trembling now. I already told you I tutor after school. That's not true. I opened a new browser window. I called Westfield and spoke with Carol in the front office. She said you don't tutor. You help out with the drama club on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So again, where are you going on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Her voice cracked as she shot back. You called my workplace? I needed to confirm your story. Not that I had to, really. I clicked to yet another tab, this time the GPS tracking data. Yes, I installed a tracker on your vehicle. Every Tuesday and Thursday, the car you drive, which is registered to me and paid for by me, spends nearly 3 hours parked outside hotels. Comfort Suites in Martinsville, Riverside Inn, Holiday Express in Canton. Her face went ghost white. You installed a GPS on my car? I installed one on my car. The one accumulating nearly 4,000 unexplained miles. And that's not all. I opened our financial records. Let's talk about the cash. You withdraw $60 from an ATM every Tuesday and Thursday, always from machines in the same towns as the hotels. Cash only, no card transactions. So tell me, Sarah, why do you need $60 in cash twice a week in cities 45 miles away from home? She sprang up so fast her chair shrieked against the floor. I don't have to sit here and take this. Actually, yes, you do. I opened the final tab. Photos. Taken December 22nd. Comfort Suites. There you are, with Tom Morrison. The first image filled the screen. You're standing by your car. He's kissing you. His hand tangled in your hair. You're pressed up against him. Her knees buckled and she fell back into her chair. Tom Morrison, Sarah. Lisa's husband. Your best friend's husband. The guy who never shut up about his golf game at every cookout. That's the man you picked? That's who was worth tearing apart our marriage? Richard, please, I can explain. Explain what? How you justified sleeping with your best friend's husband. How you smiled at Lisa at her birthday party, knowing what you were doing behind her back. How you kissed me goodnight after spending the afternoon with him. Tears ran down her face in rivulets. It just happened. No. Things like this don't just happen. Not for 6 months. I slammed my palm down onto the table. The coffee cup jolted, nearly tipping over. Dark liquid surged and spilled. You made your choices. For half a year, every Tuesday and Thursday, you willingly drove 47 miles. You decided to keep secrets. You chose deceit. You betrayed Lisa. You picked him. I'm sorry, she whispered. No, I said sharply. You're not sorry. You're exposed. That's not the same. I retrieved my phone from my pocket. Let's call Lisa, I said. She should know who her best friend really is. Sarah lunged toward me, reaching for the phone. I stepped back before she could touch me. Don't ever lay a hand on me again. I tapped the screen and put the call on speaker. Lisa picked up on the second ring, her voice cheerful. Richard! Hey, how's it going? How's your new year so far? Lisa, I need to ask something. Is Tom around? No, he's in a meeting with a client. A client meeting? On a Tuesday morning? In Martinsville? There was a pause, drawn out and heavy. Then, with hesitation, how did you know he's in Martinsville? Look at your credit card activity. Comfort Suites. He's been going there twice a week for months. With my wife, Sarah, your closest friend. Silence swallowed the line so completely, I checked the screen to see if we'd disconnected. Then, what? Tom and Sarah have been seeing each other since July. I've got the evidence. Photos, GPS data, credit card receipts, 5 months' worth of proof. Every Tuesday and Thursday they meet in hotels. I'm sending some pictures now. I selected the most damning images, the ones that left no doubt. A kiss, a long embrace, that easy comfort lovers only develop over time. I hit send. The sound that came out of the phone next wasn't human. It was a raw blend of anguish and fury, half scream, half sob. That monster, that filthy bastard, and her, Sarah, my best friend? I've tracked everything, I said. Gas mileage, spending, timestamps. They've met around 47 times. Over 150 hours spent together in hotel rooms. I'll send it all to you. For your attorney. Whatever you need. 20 years. 20 years of marriage, Lisa cried. Sarah had crumbled into sobs, hands shielding her face. I stood there unshaken. No pity, no grief, only a clean, cutting sense of resolve. Lisa, I said, I know this is overwhelming. Overwhelming? She shouted. I'm going to ruin them. Where are they? Are they together right now? Tom's probably still at the hotel, I said. Sarah's here with me. I'm driving to Martinsville, Lisa growled. I'm going to catch him. And then I'm going to... Lisa, listen. Be smart. Call a lawyer. Lock down your finances. Empty your joint accounts first, then confront him. You're right, she breathed, her voice trembling. Freeze the accounts, then burn it all down. Richard, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Your wife and my husband? How could they do this to us? I wish I had an answer. But we didn't deserve this. No, she said. We didn't. Send me everything, Lisa said. Every piece of evidence, all of it. I'll send everything over in the next hour. Richard? Thank you for being honest, she said. For not letting me stay in the dark. We both deserve the truth. I ended the call. Sarah was still sobbing. Mascara streaked her cheeks like black tears. Her voice broke. How could you? You've ruined it all. I'm the one who ruined everything? I said, laughing, a dry, hollow sound. I didn't drive across the country for secret hotel meetups. I wasn't the one lying for half a year. I didn't betray my closest friend. I didn't wreck 2 marriages for Tom Morrison. You don't get it, she said. Then explain it to me, I shot back. Help me understand how you could do something like this. Her eyes met mine, red-rimmed, swollen, desperate. I was lonely, she said. Lonely? I repeated. We live under the same roof. We share the same bed. We go on dates, take trips, built a life together. How can you possibly say you were lonely? You were always buried in work, numbers, charts, reports. I felt like just another task in your planner. And Tom, he paid attention. He made me feel seen. No, I said. He saw a vulnerability, and you opened the door. Twice a week, every week, for 6 months. My phone buzzed. A message from Lisa, at the bank clearing joint accounts, then off to Martinsville, bringing the bat. I held up my phone so Sarah could read it. Your best friend is about to visit your lover with a bat. Still think it was worth it? Chapter 8. The immediate fallout. Sarah lunged for her purse and keys. I stepped in front of the door. Where exactly are you headed? Going to warn him, or just escape together? I have to... You have to sit down, I cut her off. You need to face what you've done. Lisa might already be there. With that bat she mentioned. The phone rang. No caller ID, I answered. Richard, it's Tom. I hit speaker. Tom, I said, mock cheerful. Hope the client meeting's going great. That hotel bed treating you well? Please, let me explain. Explain what exactly? I asked. That you've been screwing my wife for half a year? That you lied to your own family? That you made a joke out of my marriage? By all means, go ahead. This wasn't meant to, he started. Wasn't meant to what? I interrupted. To stretch out 6 months? To implode 2 families? To end like this? What part of this wasn't part of the plan? Is Sarah there? He asked. I need to speak to her. Sarah reached out for the phone. I pulled it back. She's here, I said. And crying. Though probably not for the reasons you're thinking. Your wife is on her way, Tom. She's carrying a baseball bat. If I were you, I'd run. What? You told Lisa? Of course I told her. You thought I'd cover for you? That I'd help hide your affair? She knows everything, Tom. Every cheap hotel room. Every Tuesday and Thursday. Every lie you both whispered in the dark. Jesus Christ, Richard, she's going to... The line went silent. Either he ended the call, or Lisa had arrived. I prayed it was the second option. Sarah was pacing furiously now, almost shaking. I have to call him. I need to check if he's okay. Seriously? I asked, stunned. That's where your mind is? On his well-being? Not the wreckage of our marriage? Not Lisa, your so-called best friend? Not the children who'll bear the scars of this mess? Just Tom's status. Is that all that matters to you now? You have no idea what he and I share. Had, I corrected. Whatever you had is gone. Past tense. Finished. I picked up the phone and dialed the school. Westfield Elementary, Carol speaking. Hi, Carol, it's Richard Vaughn again. I'm calling to let you know Sarah won't be coming in today. Possibly not for a while. Oh my goodness, is everything okay? It's a personal situation. A family emergency. She'll reach out when she's able. Sarah grabbed my arm, her voice sharp. What are you doing? I pulled away from her grip. Trying to save your job. For now. But don't expect to keep walking in there like nothing happened. Because people will know, Sarah. In a town like ours, secrets evaporate fast. And Lisa? She'll make sure everyone hears every sordid detail. My phone buzzed, a Facebook alert. I opened the app and saw it. Lisa had posted, "Just discovered my husband of 20 years has been sleeping with my best friend. 6 months of betrayal. Currently parked at the Comfort Suites in Martinsville. About to have a serious talk with his windshield. Anyone got a good divorce attorney or an alibi?" The floodgates opened. Comments were rolling in. Shock, fury, sympathy. Someone had already tagged Sarah. I turned the phone toward her. It's starting. Her phone erupted with calls and texts, vibrating nonstop. She stared at the screen, horrified, paralyzed as the messages streamed in. I have to leave, she whispered. I can't be here right now. Where do you plan to go? I asked flatly. Tom's probably still trying to calm Lisa down. Meanwhile, your co-workers are scrolling through the details of your affair online. Your parents will see it too. I'm guessing you haven't rehearsed what to say to them. Or your sister? Or Grandma, the one who thinks the sun rises and sets on you. She broke down then, deep, jagged sobs. Please, Richard, don't do this. I'm begging you. I'm not doing anything, I said quietly. I'm just laying out the facts. Documenting, actually. With spreadsheets. Extensive spreadsheets. I pulled up a fresh tab. Let's estimate the damage, shall we? Gas at $3 a gallon. Your car averages 30 miles per gallon. That's about $427 just for fuel. Motel charges based on your bank statements? Roughly $2,880. And the intangible costs? Our marriage worthless. Your bond with Lisa obliterated. Your reputation about to be publicly dismantled. Tom's marriage demolished. The respect of your students' parents gone. Want me to keep going? Stop, she said, her voice breaking. Please, just stop. Why? Was I too logical? Too calculated? Too cold? Maybe if I had shown more feeling, been more impulsive, you wouldn't have needed Tom Morrison to validate your worth. But that's not fair. It wasn't about me. No, it was about me. I wasn't enough for you. Our life together fell short somehow. So you went looking. And you found it. In someone else. Now everyone knows. My phone lit up. Sarah's sister. I ignored it. It rang again. Sarah's mom. Ignored that too. They're calling me because you won't answer, I said. What do you want me to tell them? That their daughter, their pride, their golden child, has been sneaking around with her best friend's husband? That she's been lying for half a year? Sarah's phone buzzed. She looked down, went pale. My principal, she whispered. Then you'd better pick up, I told her. Tell them why you won't be in. Maybe explain how you managed to conduct an affair during school hours. She didn't answer. Just let it keep ringing. Chapter 9. The Collapse. By midday, the scandal had detonated across social media. Lisa, burning with fury, had posted everything she knew. Not the explicit pictures, she had the restraint to hold those back, but enough damning facts to leave no doubt. Names, timelines, the story of a friendship shattered by betrayal after 20 years. Sarah's family showed up just after 1. Her mother, Patricia, looked like she'd aged 10 years in an hour. Her father, Robert, wore a hard, unreadable expression. Her sister, Amy, was already in tears. Is it true? Patricia asked. No greetings, no soft entry. Sarah couldn't even lift her gaze. She just nodded. 6 months? Robert's voice was low and lethal. Half a year of lies? Dad, Don't! He snapped. Just don't! He turned to me. Richard, we're sorry. Truly. We never raised her to become this. I know, I replied. And I'm sorry too. Amy couldn't contain herself. How could you do this? She cried. Lisa's your best friend. Her kids call you Aunt Sarah. You're their godmother. It just happened, Sarah murmured. Stop saying that, Amy shouted. Affairs don't just happen for 6 months. You chose this, over and over. You chose to ruin everything. Patricia was quietly sobbing now. Christmas, she whispered. You sat at our table. With Richard, pretending, all the while, doing this behind everyone's backs. How could you? I was going to tell you, Sarah said weakly. When? Robert asked sharply. When exactly were you planning to confess? After dragging more lives into the wreckage? After traumatizing more innocent kids? The children, Patricia gasped. Oh God, Tom and Lisa's kids. What have you done to them? That's when Sarah finally broke. The realization seemed to slam into her. This wasn't just her and Tom anymore. It was 2 families, 4 children, countless friendships, an entire network of people who had trusted her. You need to go, I said, my voice calm but final. Pack up and leave. Her eyes searched mine. Where am I supposed to go? Not my responsibility, I said. Patricia rose stiffly. You're coming with us. For now. We'll figure something out. I turned and walked upstairs, opened the closet, and began throwing her clothes into suitcases. I didn't hold back. 7 years spent lining up dresses and arranging shoes with care, and I tossed them into bags like garbage. Sarah trailed behind me, still weeping. Can we please talk this through? Maybe consider counseling, she pleaded. Counseling? I repeated, a bitter laugh escaping. What would we even say? Hello, therapist. My wife drove across the country, 3,680 miles, to sleep with her best friend's husband. But now she wants to patch things up? Absolutely not. I love you, she whispered. No, you don't, I said flatly. You love the safety I gave you, the home, the structure, the image that let you play the doting wife while sneaking around with Tom Morrison. But love, I scoffed. Love doesn't make bi-weekly trips to a hotel 47 miles away. I hurled the last suitcase onto the bed. There. Take what you're able to carry. The rest can be picked up later, with someone watching. Richard, get out, I warned, voice cold. Now, before I decide to publish every detail, before I tally up every cent you funneled into your affair and drag you through court for it, before I burn what's left of your name to ash. Her relatives helped her lug the luggage to her car. I stood in the doorway, unmoving. So did the neighbors. Most had probably followed the Facebook fallout. Mrs. Henderson from across the street gave me a small wave, her expression pitying. As Sarah's car rolled away, my phone vibrated. Lisa. Broke his windshield. And his nose. Worth the misdemeanor. Cops were cool about it. Me. You okay? Lisa. House is quiet. She's gone. You? Me. At the lawyer's. Heading to my sister's after. The kids are wrecked. They don't get why Daddy's not coming back. Why Aunt Sarah isn't really Aunt Sarah. Me. I'm sorry, Lisa. For everything. Lisa. Not on you. You told me the truth. More than either of them ever did. Chapter 10. Aftermath. The days that followed became a haze. Attorney consultations, untangling finances, uncovering deeper betrayals. That tutoring income Sarah claimed to be earning? Fabricated. What I did find was the trail of expenses, a credit card I hadn't known existed. The balance was modest, but the purchases spoke volumes. Lingerie, dinner dates at restaurants I'd never heard of. A weekend spa retreat back in October when she'd said she was attending a teaching seminar. Thanks, I muttered. She was setting up a second life, Kenneth said, poring over the statements. This helps. It proves there was more going on than just the affair. I went back to my spreadsheets, dividing assets, listing debts, estimating financial futures. The figures were straightforward, honest. Unlike the final months of my marriage, Tom kept calling. I ignored him for 2 days. By the third, I picked up. Richard, please. We need to talk. Why? I asked. Want to swap stories about being lied to? Or are you here to express regret for blowing up my life? I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It was never meant to. If you say it just happened, I'm hanging up. I've lost it all, he said, voice cracking. Lisa's taken the kids. The house. I've got nothing. Even my own mother won't speak to me. Good. Sarah won't return my messages. Says it's done. Says it was a mistake? I asked. And then I laughed. So it was all a mistake now? 6 months gone, 3,680 miles behind her. Only now does she claim it was a misstep. I was in love with her. No, you were infatuated. With the adrenaline, the secrecy, the rush of slipping through shadows. You were captivated by hotel beds, the risk, and the thrill of someone who wasn't your wife. But love? The kind that survives daylight, routine, consequence? You never had that. How can you be sure? Because she's not standing beside you. Because when it all collapsed, she ran to her mother's house, not to you. Because the fairy tale crumbled the moment it saw sunlight. He said nothing. So I ruined my life. For what? No. You wrecked 2 families to stroke Tom Morrison's pride. Hope it felt worth it. I ended the call. Sarah challenged the divorce proceedings. Her attorney alleged emotional abuse, using my habit of logging details and watching expenses as evidence of control. Kenneth couldn't hold back a chuckle as he read the claims. She's calling it abuse because you flagged high mileage on her car? Because you tracked finances? That's flimsy, especially for a divorce. The judge thought so too. The documentation was clear, thorough. The prenup I'd drafted 7 years earlier held its ground. I'm an engineer, I had told Sarah at the time. I prepare for everything. She laughed back then, said I was paranoid. In the end, she kept her car, a few personal items, and a modest settlement. I held on to the house, my retirement savings, and my dignity. Chapter 11. Aftermath. By March, both divorces were finalized. Lisa had been meticulous, left Tom with barely more than the law required. The house, custody, alimony, Illinois statutes had been generous to her. Tom wound up in a cramped studio on the unfashionable edge of Martinsville. Fitting, really, back where it all began. The last court hearing passed without drama. Sarah looked smaller, shrunken. She'd lost weight, looked older. Her parents hovered protectively, her mother radiating contempt. All rise. We stood. The judge reviewed the documents, confirmed the terms, and signed off. 7 years of marriage ended in a flick of ink. Outside the courthouse, Sarah came toward me. Her parents tried to hold her back, but she slipped past. Richard, I need to say something. No. Please, just let me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I gave up everything for nothing. Tom and we didn't survive the fallout. It was impulse, recklessness. The biggest regret of my life. For the first time in months, I truly looked at her. Not the woman she'd become, but the one I'd married, buried under shame and consequence. 3,680 miles, Sarah. That's how far you drove away from me. That's like making a round trip to LA. You had every chance to choose differently, to start over, to rethink. But instead, you made a loop of hotel rooms and bad choices with Tom Morrison. That's not a lapse in judgment. That's 47 deliberate acts of betrayal. I know. I felt invisible. You were always at your desk, buried in your spreadsheets. So this was your grand gesture, making yourself known in Tom Morrison's bed? That was your solution to everything? She recoiled at the words. It wasn't just about the physical part, she said softly. He listened. He made me feel seen. I listened to you every single day, I said. I got up early to make your breakfast. I rotated your tires. I mapped out our future together. But none of that mattered, did it? That wasn't enough to make you feel special? She dropped her eyes. You're right. You're absolutely right. I threw away the best part of my life for something that wasn't even real. It wasn't a fantasy, I replied. It was a decision. One choice after another. 3,680 miles of choices, I added, and turned to leave. She called out to me as I walked away. Do you think you'll ever be able to forgive me? I paused, looked back. I don't think I'll ever forget you. Maybe that's better. June arrived with unexpected news. I was at a gas station topping off my truck when Tom Morrison pulled in beside me. His nose was still slightly bent from when Lisa had swung a bat at him. He looked like hell, stubble across his jaw, clothes wrinkled, the appearance of someone who'd lost all direction. Richard, he greeted. I gave a curt nod and kept my hand on the pump. I heard you got promoted. Tech done, right? Word gets around. I said, eyes on the display. He fiddled with his gas cap, unsure how to begin. I thought you should know. Sarah's pregnant. My hand stilled on the pump. The numbers kept climbing. 3 months along, he went on. It's mine. Lisa made sure to lay out the timeline online, with mileage logs. Everyone knows. The pump shut off at an even $50. Even then, I noticed the symmetry. Congratulations, I said. You always wanted kids, didn't you? Not like this, he murmured. Never like this. He looked hollowed out. She won't talk to me. Doesn't answer my calls. Her parents said they'll file a restraining order if I show up. So, I said slowly, the epic love story gave you a child you don't get to raise, and a partner who won't speak to you. He winced. Don't you feel anything? He asked, voice cracking. We destroyed everything. Sarah's pregnant, alone, and her life is in shambles. I'm stuck in a studio seeing my kids every other weekend. Lisa's already dating again, some guy who works construction and doesn't even play golf. And you're just fine. I'm not fine, I said. I'm rebuilding. That's different. I holstered the pump and shut the fuel cap. But yes, I'm doing better than the 2 people who blew up multiple lives for mid-afternoon hotel rooms. It wasn't just about intimacy, he muttered. Wasn't it? I countered. Then where's the happy ending? Where's the storybook romance that made this all worth it? I got in my truck. Good luck with the baby, Tom. Maybe you'll be a better father than you were a husband. Then I drove off, leaving him there, staring at the pump, trying to tally up the wreckage. Chapter 12. New Calculations. The conference room at the downtown Hyatt was packed wall to wall. Engineers, project heads, and team leads all gathered for the annual Midwest Engineering Symposium. I stood behind the podium, my slide deck loaded and ready. Good morning. I'm Richard Vaughn, Senior Systems Engineer at Tecton Industries. Today's workshop is titled Data Integrity in Personal and Professional Life. A ripple of uncertain laughter spread through the crowd. They'd seen the title and knew this wasn't going to be a standard talk on circuit logic or code efficiency. Let me start with a personal story, I said. 2 years ago, I discovered my wife was unfaithful. I didn't find out through cliché signs, no hidden texts, no lipstick on collars. I discovered the truth through data, patterns in her mileage, irregular fuel logs, purchases that didn't line up. I clicked the remote. The first slide appeared, a simplified version of the spreadsheet that had unraveled everything. Names removed, but the numbers stood untouched. 3,680 unexplained miles collected over 5 months. That number saved me, I said. For the next hour, I guided them through the process. How the same disciplines we use in engineering, pattern recognition, anomaly detection, clean documentation, apply to life. How numbers, unlike people, never lie. I'm not telling you to surveil your partners, I clarified. But I am telling you this. Data doesn't just tell us what happened. It shows us who we are, where we've been, and where the patterns point next. I want you to start noticing patterns. In your job, in your personal life, in the dynamics you have with others. It's the outliers that often reveal the truth. Numbers don't lie. People do. Your intuition might be sharp, but let the facts confirm it. The conference felt intense. Personal boundaries blurred with professional curiosity. One woman raised her hand. Do you ever wish you hadn't uncovered the truth? I paused. It was a fair question. I don't regret learning the truth. I regret that there was something hidden to begin with. Ignorance isn't bliss. It's just postponed suffering, collecting emotional interest. It's better to uncover it at 3,680 miles than wait until you're 10,000 deep. When the talk wrapped up, people stayed behind. They shared stories, asked questions, sought advice. One man showed me his Excel file. He was tracking his wife's excessive shopping, hoping she'd recognize the recurring behavior. My phone vibrated. A message from Anna, the financial analyst I'd been seeing for 8 months. Anna, how was your presentation? Still good for dinner? Made a reservation at that Italian place you liked. I smiled, wrote back. Went really well, can't wait. Want me to pick you up at 7? Perfect, love you. Love you too. Anna and spreadsheets went hand in hand. She built them for everything. Vacations, investments, birthdays. On our third date, she'd pulled out her 5-year financial strategy. She never hid her whereabouts. She had no reason to. As I packed up my things, someone came over. Mid-30s, sharp suit, confident energy. "Mr. Vaughn, I'm Jennifer Martinez. I was at your talk." "Glad you came. Hope it was helpful." "It was. Actually, I wanted to thank you. I've heard your story through mutual friends. Lisa Morrison is my cousin." "Small world. How is Lisa doing?" "She's doing great. Got remarried last spring. Wonderful man. The kids adore him. She asked me to thank you if I ever met you. Said you helped her. I didn't do much. Just gave her the facts." "You gave her the proof she needed." "You told her the truth. She made the choice to leave. I just supplied the numbers." Jennifer gave a small, knowing smile. "Sometimes that's all someone needs. Concrete, indisputable data. Anyway, she's good now. Really good. Thought you should know. When she left, I stayed behind in the now empty room. 2.5 years had passed since that cold morning in the garage. 2.5 years since those 4,676 miles shifted everything. I unlocked my phone, navigated to a private folder. There it was, the original spreadsheet, still labeled evidence. I stared at the rows and columns. So many numbers, so much truth. And then I deleted it. The data had done its job. It exposed betrayal, helped me survive the divorce, became the framework for rebuilding. But I didn't need it anymore. That chapter was closed. Tidy, final, archived. It was time to build again, from a blank sheet. Later that evening, with pasta and a good read, Anna brought out her latest masterpiece, a spreadsheet planning our spring vacation to Italy. "I mapped out the most efficient route through Tuscany," she said, beaming. "If we rent a car in Florence and follow this schedule, we can hit every major vineyard and still keep drive times low." I examined her plan, made a couple tweaks. We debated routes, argued about restaurants, cross-checked reviews, constructing our future one formula at a time. But this time, trust was the baseline formula. "You know what I love about you?" she said, looking up mid-edit. "My charming smile, dazzling personality. Your spreadsheets," she said, completely serious. "You track everything, plan everything. There are no mysteries, no hidden rows. I always know where we stand." "Some people might find that dull," I said. "Some people," she replied, raising her wine glass, "are fools. To brutal honesty and meticulous records. To numbers that told the truth," I said, and lifted my glass. We toasted, and I couldn't stop my thoughts from drifting to Sarah. Last I knew, she was teaching at a rural school 2 counties away, far enough that the rumors hadn't reached. She was raising Tom's daughter on her own. Tom had vanished into Colorado, rebuilding from scratch. Their once epic love story had brought a child into the world, a child neither of them ended up raising together. That child had become a living ledger of choices that couldn't be erased. But that chapter wasn't mine anymore. My life had shifted. Now I was sketching out travel plans with someone who had shown me her credit score by our 5th date. A woman who logged her workouts in color-coded rows and columns, who didn't see documentation as control but as clarity. Numbers, she believed, didn't distort. They illuminated. That could hurt. Truth often does. But it could also ground you, show you where you stood and what lay ahead. I had lost a marriage to 3,680 miles of secrets, but I'd gained a life with foundations I could trust, a relationship constructed on confirmed facts, intentional planning, and a love that didn't need surveillance to feel secure. When the check arrived, Anna had already run the numbers and filled in the tip. Naturally, I adored her for that. Epilogue. 5 years later, the auditorium was packed, close to 300 attendees, gathered for the final keynote of the National Engineering Ethics Conference. Backstage, I flipped through my notes one more time. And now, please welcome our closing speaker, Richard Vaughn, Director of Systems Integration at Tecton Industries and author of The Mathematics of Trust, Data, Deception, and Decision-Making in Modern Relationships. Applause echoed as I stepped out under the lights. Scanning the audience, I caught sight of Anna in the 3rd row, the metal of her wedding band catching the spotlight just right. She smiled and gave a discreet thumbs up. "Good evening," I began. 5 years ago, I uncovered my wife's infidelity through a spreadsheet. Tonight, I want to talk about how that moment reshaped more than just my personal life. It changed how I think about ethics in engineering and the role of data in trust. The talk unfolded effortlessly. I delivered different versions of it many times, refining the message along the way. What had started as a coping mechanism, Kenneth's idea, had evolved into something with broader purpose, a roadmap for spotting patterns, reading the signals, and making decisions rooted in truth, not wishful thinking. The threat isn't in the numbers, I told the room. It's in pretending they don't mean what they clearly show. In marriage or in management, numbers will always be honest. Our responsibility is to face what they reveal. During the Q&A, a hand went up in the back, one I hadn't seen in years. Jim Morrison, Tom's brother. "Mr. Vaughn," he asked, "do you ever think your analytical mindset could be part of the problem? That maybe being less structured might have changed the outcome?" The room stiffened. Everyone knew the backstory by now. "That's a valid question," I replied. "I've considered it more than once. Could I have shown more emotion? Been less absorbed in my work? Probably. But that line of thinking suggests the fault lay in me, not in the decisions made by someone else. She didn't stray because I used spreadsheets. She did it because she chose to. The spreadsheets just made it impossible to ignore." He opened his mouth again, but I spoke first. When someone drives 3,680 miles to meet someone else, the issue isn't how their partner tracks expenses. It's the choice to betray. I paused. My system didn't guide her to those hotel rooms. It only logged the journey. Jim fell silent, clearly dissatisfied. But he had no rebuttal. There wasn't one. Afterward, Anna found me backstage. "Jim Morrison? Seriously? Small world. Maybe he thought defending his brother meant turning the blame on you. For exposing what actually happened?" She shook her head, a half smile tugging at her lips. "People never cease to amaze me. Anyway, you hungry? I booked us a table for 8:30. Factoring in real-time traffic, we should leave in exactly 22 minutes. I laughed and wrapped an arm around her. "Did I mention how much I adore your spreadsheets?" "Only every day since 2022, she replied with a grin. She kissed me gently. "Come on, data man, let's go feed that brain." As we stepped outside the conference center, my phone vibrated. An email popped up from my editor. "Richard book sales just crossed 100,000. Huge congrats. Let's talk sequel." I showed Anna the screen. She immediately began crunching numbers in her head. "You know," she said as we headed for the car, "I never did thank Sarah." "For what?" "For making the mistake of betraying you. For those 3,680 miles she put between you two. If she hadn't driven away, I never would have walked into your life. That's a very metric-driven way of putting it." "You want sentimental?" she teased. "Never," I smiled. "I love you just the way you are. Spreadsheets included?" "Especially the spreadsheets." "Perfect, because I've been tracking something new." She pulled out her phone and opened a fertility app filled with color-coded charts and notes. "According to the data, next week's our best window." I stopped mid-step. "Are you saying—" "I'm saying it's time we tried for a baby. I've analyzed our finances, aligned our schedules, researched school districts. We're ready. You created a spreadsheet for family planning?" "3, actually. Want a peek?" I kissed her then and there, not caring about the parking lot crowd. "Anna Vaughn, you are the most extraordinary woman I've ever known." "I'm aware," she said with a wink. "I have the metrics to back it up." We drove home laughing, mapping out dreams and budgeting for the future. Not just with love and trust, but with color-coded tabs and formula-filled cells. Because numbers don't lie, and sometimes when everything aligns just right, they add up to something extraordinary. Later that night, in my home office, my eyes landed on the framed spreadsheet Anna had gifted me for our anniversary. She documented every major chapter of our story. Our first date, the first "I love you," our first joint budget, the proposal, our wedding, each milestone logged with dates, locations, and annotations. At the bottom, a note in her handwriting, "To the man who proved love is both measurable and immeasurable." Now and then I still thought about Sarah. I wondered if she ever ran the numbers. What she gained in 6 months of impulsive excitement versus what she lost. A partner, a friend, her integrity, a shared life. Traded for quiet hotel rooms with Tom Morrison. But that equation no longer belonged to me. My formulas had found new direction. Retirement planning, travel itineraries, and now fertility cycles. The data never lies. And sometimes it's exactly what you need to build something real.